Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep, and I mean really deep, into the North Sea. It's a place you probably think we've got all figured out, right? Well, it turns out it's hiding two completely different secret worlds. One is ancient and geological, the other is surprisingly modern and man-made. And understanding both is, believe it or not, absolutely critical for our future.
So let's start with this. Read that headline. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, doesn't it? Enormous, mysterious structures lurking in the deep. And honestly, the reality is not that far off.
No, this isn't a movie plot. It's a real-deal geological puzzle hiding right under one of the busiest seas on the planet. And it's challenging the fundamental rules of how we think the Earth is supposed to work.
Okay, so that's the big question, right? What did they find? And maybe more importantly, how in the world do you even see something that's buried miles under the churning waves and the seafloor? Well, the answer is this incredible technology called seismic imaging. You can basically think of it as a giant ultrasound for the entire planet. Geologists send powerful sound waves down into the seafloor, and as those waves bounce back, supercomputers listen to the echoes. They then piece it all together to create these amazingly detailed pictures of what's hidden deep, deep underground. And what those pictures showed? Well, it was a process that literally turns everything we know about geology completely on its head. They've actually had to come up with a new name for these things, sinkites, from the word sink. And when I say massive, I'm not kidding. We're talking about structures hundreds of meters high, stretching for kilometers. And they found hundreds of them down there. So here's how it works. Picture this. Millions and millions of years ago, you have these layers forming on the seafloor. You've got light, fluffy ooze on the bottom, and then heavier, wet sand gets piled on top. Then, bam, an earthquake hits. The shaking is so intense, it causes that top layer of sand to basically act like a liquid. And what does heavy liquid do? It sinks, funneling down through cracks and forcing that lighter, older ooze to bubble up in these gigantic plumes. Now, this process, it's called stratigraphic inversion, and it's something geologists have seen before. But, and this is the real kicker, it has never, ever been seen on this kind of mind-blowing scale. This is like finding an entire mountain range where the peaks are somehow older than the valleys they're sitting in. It just doesn't make sense. But okay, these ancient, bizarre geological giants, they're not the only secret world down there. There's another one, much, much newer, that's creating its own set of surprises. Yep, it turns out there's this whole other network of structures crisscrossing the seafloor, and this one, we built it ourselves. For decades, the North Sea has been a total beehive of industrial activity, and the result is what you see here. A sprawling, artificial web covering the seabed, made up of hundreds of oil and gas platforms and thousands upon thousands of kilometers of pipelines and cables. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because the marine life has noticed. These structures were never meant to be habitats, but that's exactly what they've become, a vast, accidental, man-made ecosystem. So, scientists at a group called Cephas did this huge study to figure out what's going on. And the results, well, they're not simple. It's a really complex picture with some clear winners and some clear losers. For example, you've got species like spur dog sharks, halibut that are just thriving. They're using all this metal and concrete as artificial reefs, perfect places to find shelter and hunt for food. But then you have other species like sand eels and haddock who seem to be avoiding these areas altogether. It's a whole new ecological rulebook being written right before our eyes. And here's the crucial takeaway. This human-made underworld is now completely tangled up with the natural food web. It's not as simple as just cleaning it all up one day. Removing these structures would be like performing major surgery on an ecosystem that has fundamentally changed to live with them. So, okay, we have these ancient geological monsters on one hand, and this sprawling, man-made reef system on the other. Why does mapping both of these hidden worlds matter so much right now? Well, the answer comes down to one of the biggest technologies we have for fighting climate change. The North Sea is considered a perfect spot for carbon capture and storage, or CCS, where we plan to pump CO2 deep underground and store it there forever.
And this is where our two hidden worlds collide. To store CO2 safely, you need rock-solid, stable, predictable geology. You can't have any surprises. But the discovery of these giant, unstable sink heights shows us the ground beneath the North Sea is way more complicated and unpredictable than we ever knew. Throw in an entire ecosystem that's now woven itself around our industrial junk, and you can see why getting a complete picture of everything down there is absolutely vital before we start pumping carbon into the Earth. You know, the discovery of sink heights is just an incredible reminder. Even in a place we think we've explored inside and out, like the North Sea, the Earth can still throw profound surprises at us. It just goes to show that our understanding is always a work in progress, and that the worlds hidden just out of sight, both the natural ones and the ones we've built, have a direct impact on our ability to build a safer future.